And that was really cool to see. As far as Buffalo, no hiccups on defense, right? Like I thought we would see the defense struggle a little bit. I didn't think it was a fluke, or I thought what we saw against the Ravens, albeit it's the Ravens and their offensive players and system, I thought that the Bills defense was going to struggle a little bit, but they must have heard the calls and the people saying exactly what my thoughts were, and they answered them. They were dominant, and as I said, just limited the Jets to 3 points through 3 quarters. Jets were able to get a touchdown finally in the fourth quarter. But was that a concern to you? Were you thinking like, oh, you know what? Look, the Ravens are the Ravens. That needs to be the focus. We're talking about the Bills defense, giving the Ravens all the respect that they deserve. And what were your expectations heading into yesterday's game? What were you saying pregame?
So one of the biggest things that we were watching was the defense, and not only the defense, just because they're not the same unit that they've been in the past. They don't have the same names. They did bring in Bosa this year, which we talked about in the offseason should be a boost for them, but they're not the same guys. They're running out people who maybe are more rotational players as their starters in the secondary. And then on top of that, pregame, you lose a linebacker, 2 DBs, a defensive tackle, all to injury, multiple guys on the injury report. Christian Benford, who actually ended up having a pretty good game, he was on the injury report as well. Cook and Coleman were both on the injury report. I know that they're not defense, but the worry was if anybody is hindered on the offensive side, can the defense hold up against the Jets team that looked surprisingly competent on offense in week 1? It ended up not being a matter, but that was a big focus for us going into the game. Was not only is their defense, a little leaky against, albeit a strong offense down in Baltimore, but when you lose 4 starters before the game even starts, and you have 2 more who are listed as questionable going in, that's cause for concern. So it was definitely one of the big focuses for us going into the game, was watching especially their defensive backs and how they handled the rotations there, because of what the Jets showed in week 1. Ended up not mattering that much.
No, yeah, and all in all, just from what you were saying going into that game, the focus was on the defense. So I think that those type of things, you're going to get a response from good teams, right? That's it.
Definitely.
That defense is a championship caliber defense. The Bills and the Ravens look like that they are, again, at the top of the class as far as the AFC is concerned. And if we get a matchup between those 2 teams in the AFC championship game, and maybe the Chiefs will take an early exit this year. 0-2, you never know. They might not even get to the playoffs. Who knows?
Look, you're looking at the 2 other teams that everybody assumed are going to be in the mix in the AFC. One of them's 0-2, and one of them's going to miss their quarterback for 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, but Burrow is just
like, it's gotten easier for 2 of the best teams in the league.
You're right. And I think because of what happened last year, the way that the Burrow performed and how bad that defense was, just missing the playoffs, you just felt like, all right, they'll figure it out. Of course, they won ugly in week 1 against the Cleveland Browns, and that was a monster win by them yesterday over the Jags. I did not think that they were going to get that job done. Disappointing for Mr. Duval and Trevor Lawrence and company, but all in all, Cincinnati 2-0. Browning's pretty good. I will give him a credit. I won't think that, and they have an arsenal of talent out there at the wide receiver position. He's not Joe Burrow. But you're right. When you talk about the good teams in the AFC, Cincinnati was being discussed as having a more successful season just based off of what took place last year. With that, let's talk about the Chiefs. And oh, by the way, they 2-0 Philadelphia Eagles.
There it is.
So much to get to, Kyle. Look, I'll just open up with this because I started the show by saying, you can miss me on the tush push nonsense. We heard it all off season. Talk to me in March, because they're going to change it, and that's fine. You don't want to you want to remove the receivers or the people behind them pushing them. Jalen Hurts is still going to pick up that tough yard. Tom Brady did it, made a career out of it. Plus, he could throw the football. I think a little bit. I think he's number 1 all-time touchdown passes, right? Yeah, you can throw the football a little bit, but he was able to move the sticks 9 times out of 10 because he was able to get that tough yard by the QB sneak. Jalen Hurts will still be able to do that, regardless of the changes. So it's like, I don't even want to waste time on it. It's not going to change. It's a part of their system, and they run it really well. And it's so deflating for the opposition. But, to simplify yesterday's game, just to that one play, though, I hate that. and I do. You're seeing it on these networks. You're seeing these talking heads. That was a good football game from a viewer's perspective. Not the highest scoring game, stayed under the total. Chiefs are dealing with some injuries, of course, a suspension, wide receivers out. Plays were there to be made from a couple of their wide receivers, Kelsey included. But I didn't expect an explosive game due to what those defenses were to start there. But the fact that the Eagles went in and now improved to 2-0, winning at Arrowhead, beating Mahomes yet again. What was your thoughts after yesterday's game?
Yeah, it can't be overstated that these teams are basically forming a rivalry. AFC and NFC, you don't see that a ton. They're the only team in AFC, NFC history to play each other 5 years in a row. They're the only quarterbacks to beat each other in a 3-year span in the Super Bowl. It's a remarkable test, regardless of what you think about that team. Now, I also am a firm believer that you don't know a whole lot about a team until about a month in. So is that what the Chiefs are going to be all season long? What looks like a deflated offense? Probably not. Kelsey's going to get his legs underneath him, and as the season progresses, he's going to pick things up. They're going to get some health at wide receiver. They're going to have a guy come off suspension and add some depth there. And they're also an organization that looks to add when they need to, just like the Eagles are. So I don't expect them to look this way all season long. I expect them to be one of the top teams in the AFC still. That being said, Eagles went in there and took care of business. Any win on the road in the NFL is a big win. Any win on the road is a big win. To beat that team on the road and eke out a victory, it wasn't a blowout like the Super Bowl. It was a very different game than that one. And they still come out on top. I think you can say what you want about the play calling, and we will dive into that. And you can say what you want about the tush push, and rightfully so. There's question marks there. But at the end of the day, I'll take what Jalen Hurts said to Chris Jones at the end of the game, and I'll remove the expletives. We won the game. Shut up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Take it somewhere else. Exactly. They won the game. And by the way, Chris Jones, he did have 100 yards. He was 101. All right.
Yeah. So come on, dude. Get your math right.
I love it. Look, yeah, that was a desperate, I hate to say it, it's week 2, but like they're home. They looked bad in that game against the Chargers. You know that they're a little bit better than what they were. That defense took it personal. I thought the defense played really well. Spags is incredible. We don't have to go into that. They got a great defensive front, solid linebackers, good corners. Like the Chiefs are for real. And yeah, here's what we'll be saying come playoff time. I'd be careful because the Chiefs won't be home. They're not going to have the best record, right? They're going to be probably whatever seed, a little bit, as far as further back, not the 1 or 2 seed, maybe a 4th or a 5 seed, whatever it may be. And they're going to be a difficult team to match up with. And that's what we're going to be saying come postseason. They'll probably sneak off a victory that they should not have. They'll be an underdog in, who knows? But this is the Kansas City Chiefs team that has been in back-to-back Super Bowls. And of course, as you said, with the rivalry, you got to love what we're seeing so far between these two teams. Jalen Hurts, I don't look at it from him saying, it wasn't the Super Bowl, I believe, as well as you said, where he outperformed Mahomes. It was a defensive game, but Jalen Hurts doing what he needed to do, of course, making some big time throws that won to Devontae Smith at the top of the list for me, and getting the job done. Scoring a touchdown when his number was called, best bet in football, and picking up those tough yards with the 7 tush pushes that they ran, 87% success rate. If I'm giving out a game ball, I look at the quarterback. What about you?
I mean, I guess you'd give it to Bakuba if you have to pick somebody, but maybe Fangio, because whatever they're doing as far as adjustments at halftime have been impressive. And I know it's a young season, but they only allowed 3 points after half. Last week, they only allowed 130 yards 160 yards in the second half, and really contained Mahomes in the second half against the Chiefs. Only allowed the touchdown. They've only allowed 1 or 2 scores in the second half through 2 games. To me, that is the ability of a veteran coach who knows what he's doing, who knows how to read the offenses and make adjustments. I know that there's things that we've complained about in the past about maybe different Eagles eras, but the lack of adjustments in game have driven people crazy before, and that's not what you see with Fangio. So to me, you knew that it was going to be a defensive battle out there at Arrowhead, and that's exactly what Fangio did. He prepared himself for a defensive battle, made the adjustments necessary, and slowed down the Chiefs in the second half, giving his team a chance to win. So ultimately, I think that Hurts with the tush push and his ability to make things happen. I remember there was one, the go ball to Devontae Smith was a really impressive read by Barkley too, to take the backside defender, because they were getting rushed by 7. You only had 6. He picked the backside defender so Hurts could see the guy coming at him and knew when he had the time. And I thought that was a really impressive play. So that's not to take anything away from Hurts, but the defense through 2 games has been so impressive. I want to give props to them and to Fangio for his his adjustments.
Yeah, you know what? I'm taking my game ball back from Jalen. No, Vic was incredible. And then, I think about Spags and the praise he was getting yesterday. Well, Vic Fangio deserves some of that national praise as well. I know he is getting a ton of it locally, but yesterday you heard a lot about Spags. All right, let's talk a little bit more about in-depth as far as the offense and the play calling is concerned. And there's no alarms going off, but the numbers are the numbers. And you have weapons out there, and you're wondering what's going on. Are guys open when they're not? We're seeing some tape, breakdown, all that. You're a little bit more in-depth than I am when it comes to breaking down the stuff as far as plays and all that. What are you seeing when it comes to the Eagles' play calling? Jalen Hurts, for my money, is a guy that realizes the value in not turning the football over. I think that has been a big reason why this team continues to have success, continues to win football games. And I'll take that 99.9% of the time. Do I want him to take a shot every once in a while? Sure, because you got A.J. Brown, you got Devontae Smith on the outside. Absolutely. Jalen, you know what? For exactly what he did, he won a Super Bowl. Nobody should doubt him, because when it comes to it, you cannot turn the football over. And that was something that we were saying when he was doing it. So he fixes those issues. And then now all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute. No, a win is a win. They're 2-0, but we have to be real. The offense sputtered at times, and that's being nice. What are you seeing right now, of course, with the new play caller?
So I haven't really seen anybody do the breakdowns of the all-22s for this last game, but I was speaking to somebody on the CBS crew, Josh Cohen, who does a lot of our telestrator stuff, and he does a lot of replay work, works directly with Romo. He was a college quarterback, so he knows that position really well. He usually gives us a lot of breakdowns on quarterbacks and passing games in general. And he said the thing that stood out to him in the Cowboy game was he doesn't remember a single time where he saw guys pressuring on the line and then immediately backing out and attempting to not give anything deep away. And my guess is that when outside of times where they were rushing 7 like they did on the one play I mentioned, the Chiefs were taking a similar game plan. Don't let them beat us deep. If they want to take it underneath, they'll do that. And Jalen's smart enough to take what they give you, right? That is a competent approach to the passing game. Take what they give you. Don't force anything. However, another player in Eagles history during his prime was very good at not turning the ball over, Donovan McNabb. And he, at least on occasion, with much lesser receivers, would test defenses early and make some big plays happen on the move. That's where I think the play calling comes in. And Kevin Patullo, it's his first time doing this. So there's going to be some time to adjust. They didn't have any preseason time together. I know you have all off season, but live game is much different from off season and training camp. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt for now. But to me, it's almost like the designs are for the short routes as opposed to designing split level where you have that short and then you have an up top crosser. They're kind of not doing that as much as you would anticipate. And I don't know if they think it's to set up they want that short yardage, so they're forcing people this way and they can break out runs to the outside. You'd have to learn that from the coaches. But I'm seeing, at least in week 1, I saw a defense that wanted to prevent deep, so they took everything short. I'd have to look more at the all-22 to see what the Chiefs did, but there is cause for concern, Sean. I mean, this is an interesting one that John Fisher tweeted, my brother. He tweeted out about the Eagles' offense. He said they're averaging 259 yards per game so far, which is the 4th fewest in the NFL. It's only ahead of teams with a QB making his first 2 NFL starts in the Titans and the Vikings, and the Bengals, who have a horrid offensive line and lost their starting quarterback in the last game. So they're only outperforming offensively a horrific offensive line who lost their starting quarterback, and 2 brand new quarterbacks. So, yes, they've played good teams. Yes, they've played solid defenses, a really good defense in the Chiefs. And yes, they're 2-0. It seems like something else is going on. And maybe it's just, hey, we have new personnel. We adjusted after the bye week. We don't have a week 4 bye this year, but you do need to take the time to figure out what it is and make an adjustment to make sure your offense rolls the rest of the season.
Very intriguing and well said. A nice stat by your brother on that one, because that kind of, it puts it into it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that is not good. But okay, we watched the games. We know the offense was not clicking yesterday. Saquon was able to get 88 yards total. He was grinding it, and I felt like he was going to eventually break one. But that's a really good Kansas City defense. Oh, by the way, next week, 2-0 versus 2-0. Could be the game of the week. You got a pretty good one on Monday night. You got a good one for you, Browning versus Wentz. You heading to Minnesota?
I'm so excited. Yes. Yes, I will be in Minnesota for the backup battle of the century. Here we go.
Oh. Go. How about that? You get the backup battle. That's all right. Week 3, man. Which is very unfortunate. But when you look at the Rams, that's a team that can score. We know what McVay is capable of. Stafford, they have weapons. This is an interesting spot. Birds right now are 3.5-point favorites next week at home. Of course, the Eagles have owned the Rams, right? Like they beat them last year, smacked them down where Saquon ran all over them. And of course, we're able to squeak out that victory at home in a playoff game. I don't know if there's one thing they need to do better for next week for them to win the game. Again, we got a long way to go. What would you say to that?
I would like to see more play action pass. Everybody knows that they're a running first team. I think you can do a lot from the play action. I would personally prefer it to be pass first. Take some shots deeper down the field against maybe a questionable defense, solid defense, but questionable compared to the Chiefs. And you're going to have to keep up with that Rams offense. I don't care how good your defense is. They have one of the best offenses in the league. You're going to have to shoot it a little bit against Stafford and the Rams. So I would like to see a little bit more play action. And you can run out of play action too, right? Like Jalen, you have designed runs for him. You can run out of play action. That should set up your run game as well, because if I go play action early, now you have to stay back for that. Now we can let Saquon get a few extra yards in open space as well. So I think that there's ways to you can use heavy personnel like you've been doing early on and still take advantage of some lapses in the defense when you use play action to throw them off. Even if you don't commit to it as the total game plan, I think you can use it as an additional layer to what you've seen so far.
Well said. And that's where I was going to go. It's almost not, I was going to go with the run game, not with play action, but they go hand in hand. And when you think of what took place last year when Saquon was able to run for 260, I think, or something like that, it was ridiculous. And he went over 300 yards total in the game. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, but Saquon feeding him, allowing him to be the playmaker that he is, and then running your system off of him as well, I think that's only going to benefit the Eagles, especially on the offense side of the ball. Defense got to have a game. I've said it. I think we all have. Again, this isn't somebody like I don't get on my soapbox here. Not, I will from time to time, but it's really easy for us to sit here and realize how special Cooper DeJean is. It's real easy for us to sit here and realize how special Quinyon Mitchell is. Makuba, what are we saying now? Are we adding him into the equation? Because he is the type of player right now that's finding himself at the right place at the right time. And, oh, by the way, has great awareness. He's been making plays in preseason, made a name for himself at camp, obviously. And now that tackle that he had on third down coming across the middle, that was reminiscent of a Cooper DeJean tackle from last year. This is another great draft pick.
Man, they know what they're doing. They know how to find top-tier talent. They know how to find diamonds in the rough. They are developing everywhere, seemingly except for cornerback, because Quinyon was supposed to be this, and they don't quite have CB2 figured out quite yet. That's the biggest thing for me against the Rams is going to be, can you move Quinyon around enough to keep them off balance and keep them from really exposing the CB2 spot, right? I mean, that they have more than one weapon there. So can you cover the field? Can you use I don't know, Ajomo, can he help out? Can Makuba, can he help from over the top? Can you use Campbell? I've seen promising things from him in coverage, despite him being known as a rush first guy. I like what I've seen from him in coverage. So can he help make up for some of the deficiencies? Do you go a little bit more zone, maybe with Quinyon keyed in on a man? I don't really know exactly what the game plan is against the Rams, but a lot of these young defenders are promising, and just kudos to the front office. They keep finding guys that value picks left and right.
Yeah, you're right about Campbell. I skipped over him, and of course, the expectation coming in, how he got his guy, and he's showing up, and then some. He was in Mahomes' face a lot. Mahomes took a beating yesterday.
Yeah,
they were hitting him. They were after him yesterday. I loved it. And
yeah, there was the one call. What was it on Campbell where he got called for the unsportsmanlike, the roughing the passer?
Yeah,
I thought that he was going to get called on like 2 or 3 plays before that because he popped him, and they didn't call it then. So this one, I didn't even see the replay, and I was like, if it's not bad, it has to be a makeup call because he buried him on the one before.
Yep, you're exactly right. It is Mahomes. Oh, by the way, putting a bow on this one. Are we serious with that Taylor Swift divider? What's going on in that stadium? You see that?
No.
I don't know what, because she's been rolling in on a cart. Like, she's been very out. Like, when she walks into the stadium, I get it. It's Taylor Swift, and there might be people waiting, and maybe that's what they're trying to push. But they have people literally with this divider that is like tightened up and then extends. And it's supposedly for her. It's on the timeline. It's all over the place. And I like I said, there are things probably that are happening. People are going to the game just to get a glimpse of her and, hang out in that hallway, and maybe they don't want it anymore. But come on, dude. Really? They had like a roundup of 10 people that are like on this, and then Taylor walks behind it and you can't see her just so she can get into her own entrance. I don't know. Something stupid.
I don't want to comment on it because I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
If maybe there were some concerns like that her security team was made aware of, and
yeah, you're right. Okay.
Things are a little
I take it back.
Sensitive at the moment, and she has been on the opposite end of some things. So I think that could be it, but I haven't seen it, and I'm not involved in that closely, so I don't want to say that's the reason. But you do a little bit of extra precaution with someone of her caliber,
very good call.
Her attention.
Absolutely. Good call by you on that one. I'm still anti-divider. Still, we'll keep it moving here. Kyle Fisher hanging out with me. How about this? We got a birthday. Pete Carroll celebrating 74 years tonight. He's back on the field leading the Las Vegas Raiders and Monday Night Football taking on the Chargers. We got 2 games. We're going to get into both of those games. Plus, we'll continue to shine the light on what took place on NFL Sunday. Got to get Kyle Fisher's thoughts on everything from the NFC side of things, the biggest competition for the Birds as we sit here. And oh, by the way, we'll throw it back to Thursday because the Green Bay Packers, they look like they're the real deal. What's the big difference in his mind? We'll talk about all that and more. But Monday Night Football twofer, we'll hit on the other side with Kyle Fisher back after this.
If you can wager on it, we're talking
the
about
ultimate celebration of music.
Our 2025 iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One,
is happening this Friday and Saturday.
Live in Las Vegas at T-Mobile Arena. 16 artists, 2 nights, 1 stage.
Streaming live only on Hulu.
And listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
This Friday and Saturday night, starting at 10:30.
Capital One is the proud presenting partner of iHeartRadio Music Festival, bringing great products, rewards, and services to its customers. What's in your wallet?
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Traffic trouble on the Northeast Extension. Had a crash earlier today and northbound about 3 miles above Mid-County. And all lanes were blocked for a couple of hours. Now, 1 lane getting by northbound and southbound. The left lane's blocked and traffic at a standstill. Has the Blue Route northbound crawling St. David's up to the Turnpike. Also, the Turnpike jammed up westbound between Virginia Drive and Mid-County. Schuylkill westbound Jan University Divine and City Avenue out to the Blue Route. Eastbound Schuylkill stop and go Montgomery Drive to south. Lara Tutela, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off, free UPS shipping, and add code radio for an extra 5% off.
Hey, Sean Brace here for DraftKings Sportsbook. Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling along, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown score to anytime touchdown props, the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. Here's what we got this weekend. Eagles and Rams at the Link, 1 p.m. I expect some fireworks there. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5, you get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. All you got to do is just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code BRACE. That's code BRACE to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Pennsylvania only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
Time now for your Monday BetMGM Baseball Buzz. 2 weeks left in the baseball season, and things are heating up in the National League wildcard race. The Chicago Cubs and San Diego Padres holding on to the two top spots. The New York Mets clinging to the final wildcard spot in the National League. The Mets start a big series tonight at home against the Padres, who are trying to catch the Los Angeles Dodgers in the NL West. Step up to the plate with BetMGM, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Bet on any MLB game to activate an odds boost token. If your boosted bet hits, you'll score a bigger payout. No opt-in is required. MLB trademarks used with permission. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for full terms. 21 plus. This U.S. promo offer is not available in Mississippi, New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, call 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, 1-800-981-0023. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary and expire in 1 to 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
And here we have a specimen from the early 2000s, a legacy investing platform. Please don't touch the exhibit, folks. It could crash.
Ready to step out of the financial history museum? At public.com, you can invest in almost everything: stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind. Go to public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at public.com/disclosures.
At Skechers, comfort is a technology. That's right. You don't just make a shoe and hope it comes out comfortable. It takes research, innovations, compounds, engineering, and so much more to feel so comfortable you'd swear you're wearing pillows on your feet. We have features like Skechers Air-Cooled Memory Foam and fits like Relax Fit, Stretch Fit, Wide Fit, Arch Fit, and so many more to make the shoe feel like it was custom-made just for your foot. Plus, we have hands-free Skechers Slip-ins technology. Just step in and go. Find yours at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever comfortable footwear is sold.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No. Call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com. Talking Monday Night Football. Let's go. We got 2 games to get into. Kyle Fisher with me here. It's a Daily Ticket. And, I love the people that love to complain about these matchups. Like, wait a minute, dude. If you want to complain that tonight the second game is going off at 10 o'clock and you're going to be falling asleep on the East Coast, I'm not here to deny that. I'm not here to show off. I'll try and make it to the end. But all in all, it's going to be tough. It's an uphill climb, especially with the newborn. However, it's week 2, and you're complaining about the matchups? Oh, man, come on. And Kyle Fisher, God bless his little heart, he's heading up to Minnesota for the backup bowl in week 3. So don't be complaining about these matchups that we have already in a brand new season of NFL action. Relax, everybody. Relax. Not every game is going to be the Ravens and Bills, okay? I told you. I told you I'll get in my soapbox from time to time.
But like, whatever. You want to complain about matchups? Not every week is going to have perfect matchups in prime time. You know what though? If you told me before last season that Baker Mayfield and the high-powered Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to be facing off prime time against a young quarterback in CJ Stroud and an upstart Houston Texans team, I might be excited. Doesn't mean that a year and a half later it's gonna still feel that way. The Chargers, everybody loves Harbaugh, everybody loves what the Chargers have done, everybody loves Herbert, and whether you like them or not, the Raiders are still a huge draw across the nation. So those are things you have to consider. And guess what? If you don't want to stay up, then don't.
Yeah.
Don't complain about it. Just get the extra sleep. Watch the highlights in the morning. People will find any reason to complain.
Oh, yeah, we always say that. How many? Have you been to every stadium in the NFL?
Not yet. I haven't been to Seattle.
Okay.
I have not been to. Well, I've been to Vegas.
You've been to Vegas. Vegas is yeah.
That's where our Super Bowl was 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Been to San Fran. Been to LA. I haven't been to Arizona. Haven't been to Indianapolis. There's other. I'm not going to sit here and just go through every stadium, but I've been at more than half at this point.
Love it.
I'll write it down so next time I'm actually ready to go with this.
Yeah, you're all right.
I don't want to bore the people with me staring at stadium names.
You still got a couple more to go to check off, and they got to give you a reason to get out there. Obviously, you're with the main crew. You're with the cream of the crop with Romo and Nance. They're not sending them, to all due respect, Indianapolis when they're taking on the Tennessee Titans. Or maybe this year they might with the 2-0 start by Indiana Jones, Kyle Fisher. My goodness. Yeah, quickly before we get into Monday Night Football, 2 matchups. Wide open card or wide open question for you. Your biggest surprise, week 2, and you could take it back to Thursday. Of course, all the games that played yesterday into the night with J.J. McCarthy struggling, and, of course, the Atlanta Falcons coming away with that victory. But your biggest surprise, week 2.
Biggest surprise, week 2. Oh, man. How bad the Dolphins are? No. I'll be positive. Let's talk about, Daniel Jones. How can you not talk about Daniel Jones? The guy is a resurgence, unlike we've seen. It's like they took the Anthony Richardson offense and they took what worked for Daniel Jones in New York 2 years ago and they pushed it together and they found not a diamond in a rough because the guy was a high draft pick, but they maximize this guy's potential. And sometimes guys are over slotted because teams are desperate for quarterbacks and in return are not patient. And Daniel Jones is clearly a guy who needed some time and needed some seasoning to get used to the league. I don't know if you're going to see what you've seen from him in the first 2 weeks all season long. Nobody does. But that is a surprise to me. I don't know what's more surprising, him having 588 yards through 2 weeks or Russell Wilson having 450 yards in 1 week. I don't know what's more surprising out of those two.
You're right. It is tough. It's a coin flip on that one. And I would expect Russell Wilson to be NFC Player of the Week this week, although J.J. McCarthy won it last week, and he basically did the same thing, that kid. That was insane. There's so much to chew on, and our hour runs fast. But the expectation for McCarthy to just perform and be this franchise quarterback like he was being discussed. I know he was drafted high, but to have that thought right here, right now, I get it. He had a year to work into the system and should be better. Dude, it's called reps, and he's only going to get better. He's got a cannon of an arm. It seems like the mental makeup is there. The coaching staff is great. He struggled yesterday. I expect that. I expect him to struggle. But for the people out there on week 1 going, oh, my goodness, he's going to be a franchise quarterback. This is why you do this. And then to just be on the flip side after last night's struggles, just like, what is going on? I get it. It's a take society. Everybody's got to have a take, and especially about a quarterback. But it's okay to say, you know what? He could be great. He could be an average quarterback with great weapons. We don't know. We'll see how it plays out. We just got to be so drastic, extreme when it comes to quarterback conversation. I don't know. It's so funny to me. That's all.
Yeah, they drive the entire game, so they drive the entire conversation.
Yep.
And look at what Sam Darnold. Nobody expected Sam Darnold to have the year that he had last year. I don't care how good the coaching staff is, how good the weapons are. Nobody expected him to have the year that he had last year, and he turned it into a contract. Some guys just need more time. And unfortunately, we're not in the era where you're given that luxury anymore. And it's mostly because the owners are not committed to the GMs and the coaches. And because the GMs and the coaches feel like I have a 2 to 3 year window, if it doesn't work, I got to move on. Whereas like when you go to a stable situation and you have like Green Bay, for example, that's been a stable organization. They took Rodgers. Rodgers wanted to start right away. They said, kid, just take a minute, get used to it. And then they took Jordan Love and said, take a minute, get used to it. And both of those guys have thrived as a result. You don't have to throw a guy into the fire immediately. And we've said this in the past, but I'll reiterate it. The bad teams that draft quarterbacks at the top are making a mistake every single time they do it because you are bad for a reason. Unless it's a fluke year and you had too many injuries and just couldn't overcome them. If you don't have a foundation for a young quarterback to walk into and feel comfortable and not have a horrible offensive line. It's very rare that Joe Burrow does what he does with a terrible offensive line in Cincinnati for as long as he does. It's more like what you've seen from Bryce Young or Trey Lance or Daniel Jones in his first couple. Like it more times it ends up looking like that than it does Joe Burrow. So if you don't have a foundation built and don't build a way to protect this guy and support this guy who could potentially be your franchise quarterback, then drafting, it doesn't matter how good he is. It doesn't matter how high you draft him. And that's another example with JJ McCarthy. Like, yeah, okay, he had a year to learn the system, but he was also hurt last year.
He was. Correct.
It's not like he was in practice every single week learning from this this sage of a veteran, Sam Darnold. Like Sam Darnold was still figuring it out. And you have, yes, this is a strong quarterback coaching staff, but you have a guy it's a young coaching staff, a young quarterback. They're gonna need some time to gel. I'm gonna give him that leeway because of what they've shown in the past.
Cam Ward is the topic of conversation when you start to talk about quarterbacks taken high and potentially, not the right move. 19 of 33 yesterday, 175. I'm a Cam Ward believer. I like what I've seen so far, but I think we can look back. Right. I think we can look back after this season's over, maybe next year, and look at what was potentially there, whether it's Abdul Carter or it could have been somewhere else, and then trade back and get this. And we can have that conversation that maybe this was not the right move. And you know what? As we sit here right now, I feel pretty confident in saying, as a Cam Ward believer, that it wasn't the right move for everything you just said. So we'll see. We'll see. He could turn into a franchise quarterback. He's got the talent. He's got the arm strength. Hasn't turned the football over just yet, but still a little sloppy. But it's just unfair. It's unfair to even go in today. Like Calvin Ridley isn't, Jerry Rice out there. The weapons aren't really there. The offensive line is struggling. It's the Tennessee Titans. They had the overall number 1 pick for a reason.
And I'd say two things, right? If you are an organization and you're going to spend a top pick on a quarterback, you need to do two things. One, be patient. You know who sucked his first year in the league? Peyton Manning. You know who's going to the Hall of Fame despite every negative thing that people have said about him? Eli Manning. You know who was terrible when he started his first game? Tom Brady. Those are 3 Hall of Famers that I just mentioned, and go look at their year 1 stats. It wasn't good. And secondarily, and the Eagles did a great job of this with Wentz and with Hurts at first.
Jalen Hurts. There you go.
You have somebody on a rookie contract. Go spend money to protect them. Even if you're not spending the draft picks on a line, go sign a veteran tackle and just make sure the dude doesn't get blown up and lose all of his confidence. If you show faith in the quarterback and show faith that you are willing to do the things to make them successful, they are now comfortable and can develop properly. Again, Peyton Manning was horrendous his first year in the league, and he's one of the greatest passers of the quarterback of the football that I've ever seen, that anyone's ever seen.
Yeah,
give guys a minute.
But that doesn't happen because now to hit the rewind button to bring it back to your original point, you're right. Like, you're already hearing it with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams was everyone said he was a generational talent. All right, he's a heck of a football player at USC, but that's not professional football. That's not Sundays. And Ben Johnson, he didn't draft him. So now you're already hearing that after losing 52-21, whatever it was yesterday, 2 games with Johnson and Caleb Williams together, that like, he might not be his guy. He's out. It's like, what are we doing here? You got to show faith and build around him if you're going to spend the capital on taking a pick that high.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, you sign a coach to a 4 or a 5 year contract. You have the GM under a 4-year contract. You draft the rookie quarterback who's going to be there for at least 5 years on a cheapish deal. And in year 2, you're like, I don't know. Well, then why'd you commit all that time and money and years to those guys? Because you don't want to be patient. I'm sure that if an organization went, hey, fans, you know what? I know it's bad right now. Give us a minute. Give us a minute. It's professional football. Give us a minute. We'll be okay 5 years from now. And if you give yourself a little bit of a deeper window, a bigger pocket to develop both yourself and your young quarterback, I think more teams are going to be successful as a result, but we're not in that age. We're not in that era, Sean.
No,
so.
They don't operate like that. You're right about that. All right, let's do it. Kyle Fisher joining me here. Monday Night Football. Let's go. We got 2. And, oh, by the way, we got ourselves a Phillies game that's beginning started at 10 o'clock as well, I believe. Taking on the Dodgers.
I'll be flipping between the 2 and probably falling asleep during both. But
that's right. You and everybody else on the East Coast. Anyways, Buccaneers and Texans get the party started at 7 o'clock tonight. 2.5-point favorites. Houston at home, 42.5. And then at 10 o'clock tonight, Pete Carroll, happy birthday. You know, like the storylines we were just discussing, Harbaugh versus Carroll, going back to USC and Stanford. Remember that? You know, back and forth. There we go. We get it again at the NFL level. You got to love it. Chargers, 3.5-point road favorites against Vegas. 46.5 is our total. What do the odds makers know in that one? I know the Chargers were really impressive, but can the Raiders get a little love? Anyways, Kyle Fisher, let's start with game 1 here because I want to go a little in-depth on both as we close up shop for hour number 2 here at Daily Ticket. Bucks and the Texans. Why are the Texans 2.5-point favorites? If you went around and asked 100 NFL fans, who's the better team? They would say the Bucks. Like, I think 90 people would say the Bucks. Betting splits, who knows? You get some contrarians out there, rightfully so. And of course, Monday Night Football. Texans looked bad against the Rams, but they're good on defense. But the Bucks, they got a lot of things moving in their direction. New offensive coordinator, new play caller. It's intriguing to see how that's going to work out. But a plethora of weapons, even though that they've been dealing with some injuries at the wide receiver position. No Godwin, but you're replacing with Ibuka, who's incredible. 2 touchdowns in his debut. Great run game. Bucky Irving, Baker Mayfield still slinging it. Better defense this year, I feel like. Why are the Texans favorite?
Well, the classic, you typically get 3 for being at home. So it's almost like a push, right? Yeah. And I think that the Texans are going to be a little juiced up. Stroud had a really good game. I know that it's different teams every year, but in his rookie season against the Buccaneers, he, I think, threw for over 400 yards, threw 5 touchdowns in the game. So he had a really good game against the Bucs last time they faced off. I think that might be weighing on some people. And also, yes, the Bucs have a lot of weapons, and we talked about how much we liked their offense during the preseason show that we did, but they struggled to get past a Falcons team that I don't think anybody would consider to have a stout defense. Fine defense, but a stout defense, and they needed a last-minute score to only put up 23 in the game. So for me, that's probably the reason. You know, if they look a little constipated in week 1, how quickly do they fix that on the road? I think that's why you're in push or less than +3 territory in that one.
Great use of constipation. I like that. Nice on that one. All right. So with that, 2.5-point spread here this evening, game being played in H-Town. Your expectations, where are you looking when you start to break this game down and maybe you're angling a prop or an offensive play or something along those lines? What are your thoughts? Where do you start when you want to go in depth on this breakdown here?
So something that Eagles fans can relate to, whether they love it or not. One thing that the Texans themselves credited with how much they did to confuse Atlanta was how they deployed Hassan Reddick in the rush game. They moved him around a lot. I think that you're going to see a lot more of that, especially because the big issue for me from week 1 from Houston was they added a lot to the offensive line. But at the end of last season, we talked about a conversation that I heard Tony Romo and the aforementioned Josh Cohen have about the names on the line almost don't matter because the blocking schemes that they're calling are subpar at best. And nothing has changed in that regard in week 1 this season. They have not switched anything. So their blocking schemes and the way they prepare for the rush, a deficiency. I know that they added talent there, but if you are not setting those guys up to attack the pressure that's coming, it doesn't matter who you add to that line. And that is a very real problem for a guy in Stroud who needs an extra second to get himself comfortable in the pocket. So when you don't have that extra second and you have somebody who's adept at rushing the passer, like Hassan Reddick, and you're deploying him in unusual ways, I think that's going to spell disaster for the Houston Texans offensive line.
Interesting. Yeah, and they struggled. It was like almost last year, similar ways that the Texans were losing in week 1. I get it, 1 game sample size, but the offensive line was a disaster. And we talked about Tunsil being traded. Was he traded or just like, oh, I forget. I think he was traded to Commanders, right? He was involved in a trade. Yeah. And you know, I know he didn't play well, but at least it was a guy that, you know what, you could hope would have a better season. They clearly wanted to go in a different direction to get something different happening in week 1. It did not happen that way. So Stroud was attacked. Turnovers were happening, and the Texans defense was being discussed a lot heading into the season as one of the premier units out there. I think they showed us a little something 14-9 against the Rams. Yep. Again, week 1, so we don't know. This is a tough game. I won't lie, but I don't see how I could pick against the Bucs here. And I'm a CJ Stroud and Houston Texan believer. But I am going to go with the Tampa Bay Bucs in this spot. Baker Mayfield, not good on Monday Night Football in his career, but I just feel like they have a better run game. I liked what they look like on defense, and on offense, I think you're going to see Mike Evans score a touchdown. So give me the Bucs and a Mike Evans tutty for me tonight in game 1. Your final play for game 1?
I'd go Bucs with the victory, but give me a Chubb anytime touchdown.
Ooh. We're going Chubb for Kyle Fisher. Okay. So Kyle Fisher wants Nick Chubb to score a touchdown. That is at plus 115 here. Plus 115. Bucky Irvin, even money. Nico Collins, plus 125. Mike Evans, now up to plus 160. I like that. So Mike Evans, plus 160. Right. Taking a flyer on it. Abuka's going to have a lot of attention today. All right. We know that that's going to be the case. They had success over the top. Mike Evans underneath on the goal line. All he does is catch touchdown passes. Let's go. All right, second game up. Once again, Pete Carroll. Happy birthday, Mr. Carroll, 74 years young. Kyle, as far as Brock Bowers' health, it's a big talking point, and rightfully so. It seems like he's going to be good to go, but something to keep your eyes on here. As far as this game is concerned, you're looking at the 3.5 for Chargers, favored on the road in Vegas, 46.5. That place is going to be rocking tonight. I want to go with the Raiders here. I do, but I feel like Justin Herbert might be a man on a mission this year, and offensively with Harbaugh, I'm going to lean towards the Chargers in this one. And I think the odds makers are kind of telling me a little something here. Hate to say it like that. I don't like the 3.5. If I can get it down to a 3 flat, I love it a lot more. Let's put it that way. But if you made me take a shot right now, I'm probably going Chargers.
If I have to pick, I would go Chargers as well. I think the big matchup for me to watch is Bowers. If he is a full go, they have some injuries in the middle of that Charger defense. Denzel Perryman sprained his ankle in the first half in that game Friday. He's not going to play. Harbaugh said he wasn't sure if he'd be put on injured reserve. Well, another linebacker, Delshon Phillips, also questionable with a toe injury, and that's something that could easily flare up even if he is good to go. Safety Elijah Molden is out with a hamstring injury. That's a lot of people in the middle where Bowers thrives that I think that if they have a chance, it's abusing him in the middle of the field and just letting that big body get a few extra yards for them. We'll have to see. I think everybody from fantasy perspective is going to be watching Genty very closely. Can he take off against this defense? I'm not confident in that. I again, if I'm making a pick, I go Chargers, but an interesting matchup will be to watch. Can they use Genty and Bowers in the middle of the field against a weakened secondary for the Chargers?
Yeah, look, Genty is the real deal, -105. Bowers, something to keep your eye on. We know how explosive he is, but if he's hobbled, I don't know if he's going to be the same type Brock Bowers. But if he's going, like, come on, man, these guys are gladiators. +185, just something to target there. We'll see, though. It's going to be a fun evening of sports, to say the least. We got 2 Monday Night Football games. And how about them Fightins? A quick thought on the Fightins before we get out of here, Kyle, as they have clinched a playoff berth, but a big series against the Dodgers. Still a lot of things to take care of as far as postseason play is concerned.
Yeah, I think that there's not a lot you can tell about what the team is going to look like in October at the moment, but I do love what I'm seeing, right? I think that what Bader's doing in center field and leading off has been enlightening for this team. The leadoff, he may not last there very long. He may end up hitting 4 or 5 when Trey comes back. But what guys like Otto Kemp have been able to do, what Stott switching over to shortstop and playing with what is a seemingly never-ending rotation of second baseman has been impressive, despite the fact that he's going to switch back to the other side come playoff times. I know that they already have the playoffs locked up and they'll have the East locked up. Whether it's today or tomorrow, we'll see, but I think they're going to have it locked up. But I don't want them to get complacent now that they've been in the playoffs and coast the rest of the way. I want to see them, and luckily they have 2 easier series at the end of the season, but you're on the road on the West Coast against two really good teams. Arizona is a place you have not played well the last few seasons. I'd like to see them go in there and win 2 out of 3 in LA, 2 out of 3 in Arizona before coming home and really letting those guys rest up before the end of the season.
I asked Luke earlier, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being, it's pedal to the metal. This team is hitting on all cylinders. Watch out. If the playoffs started today, where are you at right now with this team as a whole? Are they just locked and loaded at a 5 for you? Are they 4? Or, you could see a little bit more from power numbers at 3. Where are you at with that conversation?
A 4, because if we're going on a scale of 1 to 5, I'm not going to do the cheeky thing and go half numbers, but we'll go 4. I think that they're all hitting very well. The few guys, I think Schwarber, although he has 2 homers in his last 3 games, he had a little bit of a slow stretch there. The key is when that happens, what we saw with this team in the past is that they all got cold at once. And that is not what is happening with this team right now. Schwarber gets cold. Well, Marsh and Bader and Kepler pick it up. And Castellanos starts to warm up and Stott takes a backseat for a little bit. These guys are picking each other up. And that is the way you sustain success through the postseason. In the last couple of years, it's everybody got cold at once. They had that lead in Arizona. Everybody got cold at once. They were the favorites going into the Mets series. Everybody got cold at once. They were up in the World Series, get no hit. Everybody gets cold at once. If they can continue to not do that, I'm confident enough in those 3 left-handers in the rotation to carry them the rest of the way.
Well, by the way, one of those lefties going tonight, Ranger Suarez, -102 versus the Dodgers this evening. Great job across the board, Kyle. Once again, he'll be heading on the road to Minnesota. Have you been there before?
I have. Yeah, beautiful stadium. I got sunburnt there the first time, despite it being indoors, because one side is open window mirror style. So, yeah, that was fun.
Are you Irish? A
little bit.
Yeah, I think we can tell on that one if that's the case. Nice work.
Dude, someone told me that I didn't get burnt on Sunday, and I was like, am I just that red all the time that you don't think I burned this weekend? I burned. I can feel it.
But. That's funny. Yeah, it was a hot one yesterday.
A little bit.
I'm sure I met life. Kyle, you're the best. What do you got cooking up over at the Philly Sports Network?
So we're going to be on high alert, putting together our NL East clinching pieces. We have some folks working on an outfield piece at the moment. We're determining who's going to put the finishing touches on it and release it. But just today, both in the Metro as a full pager and available on phillysportsnetwork.com, I released an exclusive interview that I had with Max Kepler. He was very candid talking about his emotional and mental journey this season. I asked him what the biggest thing that's clicked for him, and he said kind of just not caring as much about being the newcomer and introducing myself to everybody and making sure that I remember everybody's names and just getting back to, hey, let's go out here, have fun and play baseball. And he's like, not that I don't care about those things, but I got so overwhelmed with that it kind of wore me out emotionally. And when it was time to go on the field, I didn't have it. He's like, and now I've just let those things go and I'm ready to go. So if you want to hear a little bit more about that, a really open, candid conversation with a guy who's went from the edge of being DFA'd to now a contributor on a World Series hopeful.
Kyle Fisher, once again, Philly Sports Network, bang-up job here on the Daily Ticket. As always, great to have you, Kyle. Can't thank you enough. Good luck on all of those plays. We'll be definitely looking out in the Metro for Philly Sports Network and, of course, doing a bang-up job over there and CBS Sports. You're the best, Kyle. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon.
My man, there he is once again on the Gambler Stream. All right, coming up, other side. Luke Arcani joined me earlier today. We'll run that back. A lot of Phillies conversation, and we'll get into the nuts and bolts of his big takeaways from the Eagles' victory over the Kansas City Chiefs as they improved to 2-0. Oh, it might not have been a pretty game for some people out there, but I was loving what I was watching defensively. Devontae going up and making that big play. And oh, by the way, just pushing it all over the field. And the Kansas City Chiefs, who have a pretty good defensive line, pretty good defense coordinator, were able to get in the backfield, could not stop Jalen Hurts. This is Daily Ticket right here on The Gambler. Finally, before we get out of here, though, just real quick, if I could, shout out to the friends over, our partners over at Playfly. What a weekend it was up there at Penn State. I know I was giving Penn State a little hard time with the game day experience getting into the stadium, but man, it was so cool being up there and just seeing the people walking around and just being fired up for some college football. And, if I had to do it over again, I would leave 2 hours to get to my seat earlier than normal. But all in all, it was a great time. And the Playfly folks over there, Nino and company, just rolling out the red carpet for us as the home for Villanova football and basketball. Mark Ferrante coming through the show on Friday was a big hit and just shows you what we're in for. And we got ourselves a big basketball season coming up with Coach Willard, Villanova Hoops. Right, we know it's a little bit bigger deal, right? We're being honest about that. So big season coming up here. We're going to be all over for you with college hoops season right around the corner on The Gambler. But thank you to everybody over there at Playfly Sports, both Villanova and Penn State. They were awesome. The people from Penn State Playfly were so cool, and they helped us out with everything we needed and then some. So thank you across the board. That will do it for me here. Once again, Luke Arcani joined me earlier. Trust me, you don't want to touch that dial. Got you for the next 45 minutes talking all things Phillies and a recap on the Eagles week 2 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Brand new Daily Ticket at 3 p.m. with Sean Bernard in studio. We'll go full 3 hours there. Enjoy the games. Go Phils, and I'll talk to you.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you.